Welcome back. Well, he launched the Children's Movement of Florida last year with a string of milk parties, serving milk and cookies along with a powerful message that our children must come first. David Lawrence will forever be known as the former publisher of the Miami Herald and the founding board chair of the Children's Trust, but now the Children's Movement of Florida is his top priority, and Dave is with us this morning. Thanks, of course, for joining us, and tell us about the Children's Movement. How is it going? And I know this has been a tough legislative session, but
tough
How's
year.
it been going?
Tough year, but that shouldn't furnish a good excuse for anybody to say, let's not worry about children anymore.
Can't throw in the towel.
Absolutely shouldn't. The whole future of this community and this state and this country are at stake. We now communicate with 235,000 Floridians. My goal is to communicate with 1 million by the end of next year. We've launched a membership campaign. We're beginning to make some progress in the legislature. Tough year, but I'm still optimistic.
Any gains as far as the legislature is concerned that we can?
We're going to see when the legislature ends after the first week in May. But remember that what we're trying to do is not do a one-year wonder. That wouldn't make much sense. What we're trying to do is build an enduring, sustainable, long-term movement for children. And that's going to take many, many years to do. What you're trying to do is change the priorities of public investment in this state. You can get a road, a baseball stadium, a prison, a tunnel under the water, seemingly anytime you want one. Yet we pay less than $3,000 for a pre-K slot, while at the same time we're paying $51,000 to incarcerate a juvenile. Now, what kind of sense does that make for the future of this community and this state?
Well, that brings me to this question. And obviously, the economy has been an issue with funding for children's programs, this year and in recent years, because it's been an issue for a few years now. But I wonder, when the economy wasn't such an issue, when things were better, were we doing better for children, or has it always been kind of like taking a back seat?
Great observation. The reality is we just don't do very well by children. If you look at Florida and how it invests in public education, proportionate to the wealth and size of the population, guess what? We're number 50. If you look
50?
Number 50. We're right at the bottom. If you look at insured children and uninsured children, we're number 47 in percentage of uninsured
We're scraping
children.
the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, this is tragic. We have 125,000 children in Miami-Dade County who don't have basic health insurance. We got 822,000 children in Florida. What's that say about us? We're surely a better people than that.
Well, still, I'm told that you can be an eternal optimist, so are you?
Well, I am an eternal optimist, but I don't think you make progress simply with an optimistic glass half full spirit. Frankly, you need to aggregate the wherewithal, the power, raise the money, work the process as other people do. So I've met with the Senate President, I've met with the House Speaker, and I've met a couple of times with the man who is now governor on these issues. I want people to know that frankly, we'll escalate all this if we can't make reasonable progress. I'm not saying do it all 1 year, next year, or even in the next 5 years, but you ought to be able to begin to change the numbers of how we invest in children.
One of the problems is not only that our children not benefiting, but children are in fact suffering from some of these shortcomings in our state. I know that you've been in panels discussing both the Nubia Barahona and the Aurelia Wilson cases in the past, and recommendations have been made by you and others. Has DCF begin to take on those recommendations?
In the first case of Aurelia Wilson, which now goes back several years, lots of recommendations were taken. In this particular case, more recently, the tragic death of Nubia, I'm optimistic that folks will take on the recommendations. The signs so far look good. But frankly, there's no substitute for common sense and wisdom and decency, and we had people who spoke up on her behalf, a kindergarten teacher, for instance, a school principal. There were plenty of signals out there for people to do far better by this little girl than they did. She didn't need to die.
So what's your message then, quickly, to parents and grandparents?
Be part of the children's movement. Push, kick. No progress in human history, frankly, is made without some pushing and shoving. Have a little outrage. Try to be pleasant about it, but if pleasantness doesn't work, escalate it a bit. We deserve better for the future of our children and our community.
So be an advocate and take part.
Take part.
David, thanks for the work that you do and for being with us this morning.
I'm privileged to do it. Thank you.
Up next, we're going to talk Medicaid reform and kid care with the current chair of the Children's Trust. Plus, we're going to have a recap for you of what to expect at the Children's Trust Family Expo, the largest resource fair in Miami-Dade. And guess what? All free. We'll be right back.